Vanakkam, welcome back. Today I thought I would talk about food, in particular vegetarian food. I'm a vegetarian by habit and then by choice. And over the last, of course, things are a lot better in most countries in the world. A vegetarian can survive comfortably, but it hasn't always been this way. And over the last few years, I've had so many interesting experiences, which I thought I would share with you. Uh, Shortly after my wife and I got married, we went to Paris. அப்போ வந்து my wife didn't know a word of French, and I knew exactly three words. I knew bonjour, ooh la la, and merci. And I was quite confident I would be able to manage using these three words. I was kind of visualizing myself going into a restaurant and saying, bonjour, vegetarian food. And then when the food came, I would look at it and say, ooh la la. And then I'd look at the waiter and say, merci. So I had it all planned out. But we didn't even get to first base because they couldn't figure out what we were looking for. Vegetarian food, vegetable, vegetarian, அப்படின்லாம் சொல்லி பார்த்தோம். No, we couldn't make any headway. And they were all talking in French among themselves, the waiters, the chef, all of them. And then finally they got so frustrated, they took us inside the kitchen. And this kind of, from what we understood, they were saying, look, this is what we have, enna venumo pannikko அப்படின்ட்டு. So we took bun, okay? It was a fast food place. So we took bun, we got tomatoes. So at the table, we sliced the tomatoes, put it inside the bun and ate it. Then we went and all the waiters were wondering what we were up to. And we finished and then went to the cash counter and offered to pay. And they were, of course, they refused to take any money because for them, a bun and a tomato means nothing. So they refused to take any money and just they had a good time. They kept laughing and, well, I mean, we were quite happy. I mean, it was our first overseas holiday, so we were finding things pretty expensive. And so we got a free meal. I remember telling my wife, if we had known about this earlier, we could have done this more often. Several more experiences. Dubai, I remember, my son was very fascinated with a new hotel that had come up. Even more so because one of the restaurants in the hotel was offering Indian food. And that was a bit of a novelty, right? This is a Western style hotel offering Indian food through one of its restaurants. So he wanted to go there. So we went there and I left the ordering to him. So he ordered bhindi masala, dal, vegetable kebab, aloo gobi, tandoori roti, that kind of thing. Or 20 minutes kaprom, the waiter brought bhindi aloo. So he served us and then we were waiting for the rest of the food to come. Nothing came our way. And then my son had one bhindi, then he had another, then my wife had one, and then my son had a third. I said, boss, wait, I mean, idhe chapter mudicha eppadi? He said, pasikirudhu pa, ask him to get the rest of it. So I called the waiter. I said, where's the rest of the food? He looked at me and said, oh, you want it all together? I said, it's not about my wanting it, but that's the way it's supposed to be eaten. So you have to serve it accordingly. Said, okay, I'll bring it. And then after about 5 minutes, he brought the aloo gobi and the dal. So, and by that time, all of us were hungry, so we started eating. And then the vegetable kebab and the tandoori roti and the rice came after some time. So I think my son lost his fancy for Indian food at these Western style hotels after that. Once I went to a restaurant, again in Dubai, from office. So we were about 10 of us. And for lunch, there was a fixed menu. Okay, that was all you would get for lunch. We kind of knew that. It was a fixed lunch and fairly popular as well. We were about 10 of us, and 3 of us were vegetarians. Now, that fixed menu turned out to be a non-vegetarian menu. It was absolutely nothing that was veg in it. So again, we looked at the waiter and said, look, 3 of us are vegetarians. And he didn't seem to be able to figure out what to do. He said, but it's fixed. I said, yeah, we know it's fixed, but we are vegetarian, so we want the fixed vegetarian menu. He said, no, there is only one menu, this. Then we got a bit pissed off, so we said, call your chef, we want to talk to him. So he went off inside, and the chef didn't want to meet us apparently. But the waiter came back and he said, I get you burger. We were quite thrilled. Sorry, burger kadikirdu, that should be all right. No? We said, okay. Anjanam Shitkapura, he came back with 3 plates with a bun on it, 1 bun each. So other pirichilam pate, thinking there might be something stuffed, but no, it was just a plain bun. And he was looking at us like that, feeling very pleased with himself. And I asked, in a pub, what do we eat this with? And then he seemed to think for a while, and then he said, I bring you butter. Once in Africa, I frequently have been to Africa on business trips. So at the hotel where I was staying, there was a buffet lunch. Now, kali plate eல்லாம் வச்சிண்டு, I was sort of surveying the place, and I couldn't seem to. There was rice, but other than that, I couldn't see any vegetarian food. So I called the waiter. I said, "I'm a vegetarian. What do we have for vegetarians?" He said, "Vegetarian, yes." So what do we have for vegetarians? We have this rice, and here we have salad, nice salad. Listen, I've paid $60 for the buffet. Are you saying there's just rice and salad? Rice, salad, what more you want? Hey, what about vegetables? Potato, cauliflower, potato, come here, now. So now, I followed him. So he took me to the end of the counter and opened that dish and said, potato. So I peered in. Sure enough, there was potato, but there were some other things also floating around that I couldn't quite make out what it was. What is this? This is beef. Beef in potato? Yes, beef in potato. The thing about these buffet lunches, and this it's happened to me so many times. We go with this expectantly with the kali plate, and there is rice, and then there is something else. And then the non-veg items start. There is chicken and fish and mutton and whatnot, shrimp. Okay, so all of that. But the odd thing is, and which I have a lot of difficulty accepting, is that even if you make do with just rice and that one other item, let's say potato. So many places I've seen there's no gravy item for vegetarians. You'll have rice, and then you might have something like roast potato, which is very fine. But what do you eat it with? And even on the rice and roast potato mattum sari, let's make a meal of it அப்படின்ட்டு decide பண்ணினா கூட the non-vegetarian eaters will be in that queue, in the rice and potato queue, filling up, shoveling potato and rice onto their plate before going on to the fish, chicken and mutton. So the vegetarians இருக்கிறதே ரெண்டு plate தான் and ரெண்டு item தான், and before you know it most of it will be finished. Once I again from my office we went to Jakarta. அதில் வந்து the office there took us to what they considered a very fancy place. It was one of those carnivorous places, if you know what I mean. Exotic animals and things like, not just fish and chicken, but some extraordinary food items. My colleague Mani and I, we were sitting at one end of the table, and at the other end we could see these exotic food plates turning up. எலும்பும் கொம்புமா இருந்தது, அங்கே பார்க்கவும் முடியல பார்க்காமையும் இருக்க முடியல. So we were waiting, and then every time a waiter came near us we would wave him away saying vegetarian, vegetarian, but nothing came our way. And then the rest of them were, you know, going at it with gusto. So we called the waiter, did the usual thing, and then the chef came, and they discussed among themselves what kind of food they could get us. And then they seemed to come to some kind of conclusion. And about 5 minutes later, we saw 6 waiters, each of them carrying a tray and very triumphantly coming from the kitchen. And we thought, wow, a 6-course meal and all. Then we noticed that all the waiters were carrying what looked like the same thing. Pata adu vandu elanir. So there were 2 of us, and they were offering us 6 elanirs for lunch. So well, we had one elanir each, and then my colleague Mani said, Bhaskar, appadi kalambidalama, edano McDonald's engano pakkathula engano iruka paakalam. I said, McDonald's in Jakarta enna kadikku porudhu, we won't even get a veggie burger. Then he said, French fries kadikume அப்படின்ட்டு. But you know, we were a large group of 20 odd people, so we decided to stay put. But we managed to get rice and managed to convince one of the waiters to go to they didn't have yogurt, so convinced him to go to a nearby grocery store and buy yogurt for us. So we had Mani and I were happy having tight chatam. I have a lot more stories, maybe in one of the future episodes. But for now, thank you for being with us. Vanakkam, Nandri.